Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whichever time zone you're in. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm teacher Fernando, the same teacher as always. The only difference is that, of course, this is a recorded class, and our first advanced recorded class. First of all, guys, I have to apologize. I'm really sorry for taking so long to start with these classes. But life happens. January has been particularly challenging, I would say. So it took me a while to start this project, but now we're hands-on here. We're gonna be having this basic and advanced classes once a week, every week from now on, right? This one, I believe, is being released on Friday, the 23rd, and then we're gonna have another one next week, and we're never gonna stop anymore. Basically, that's the idea. So I hope you guys enjoy it. The idea here is that these classes will be like an extra tool for you guys to enjoy, and to take the time, because that's what I always say. It's really important to take the time to study outside our regular classes, because being regularity in whatever you're doing is what matters the most. It's not about, oh, I'm gonna take this afternoon to study as much as I can and try to remember everything I know about English. It's really not about that, guys. It's really more about regularity. It's really more about making sure that you're staying focused, and that, if possible, every day. Sometimes that's not possible for everybody, and that's okay too. But as often as you can, you are in touch, you are keeping in touch with the language. So I hope you guys are able to do that this year, and I can assure you that this is gonna make a huge difference in your English level. All right. So we're here today to discuss art. Now that's the word. Okay, art. When we talk about art, what comes to your mind? I hope you know what I'm referring to already. I'm talking about artistic productions, right? That is art, the world of art. I'm going to remind you that in English, of course, we might pronounce this letter T in the end of a word like art, but it's not mandatory. So, in fact, many people don't do it. I would even say that most native speakers don't do it. That's why I'm pronouncing it like art, art. And so, what kind of art are you into? In fact, let me share here the screen, because that is what we're going to be discussing. First of all, what kind of art are you into? Let me tell you guys how we're gonna do things here. I'm gonna be showing you some slides here, some pages from this teaching program that I use, and the idea is that you guys are active participants of this class. So, for example, we're talking about this question here, and then if you want, you can pause the video now and answer this question yourself. So I hope you have your notebook with you, or I hope you have a piece of paper with you, and I wanted you to answer this question yourself. What kind of art are you into, and why? Of course. So when we talk about art, we're thinking about all the artistic manifestations that exist. So we can talk about dancing, right? We can talk about acting, the performance arts. We can think about singing. We can think about painting. We can think about sculpture. Those are all kinds of art, and I think art is something essential for humans. They are actually part of what makes us human, right? Because at least as far as we know, other animals aren't able to produce art, or even if they are able to produce something that we would consider a piece of art, as in something beautiful, that's not exactly the same, right? Because they are not making it with the purpose, the explicit purpose of um, of producing it, of making art, making something that is supposed to be observed and appreciated by other people. They apparently they don't have that. I might be wrong. We never know, but apparently they don't have that. So it's really something special, right? It's part of what makes us humans. And so, what is your favorite kind? Well, I would say that mine is probably acting as a whole. You know, the in the performance art field, movies and series, all of these dramatic arts, let's say, all the ones related to acting, they really fascinate me, including some more unusual ones, like for example, opera. You know, there was a point in my life. I know it's kind of weird. I have never shared that with any of you guys, I think, but there was a point in my life when I was really into singing. I was a vocalist of a band and stuff. So I started to watch some opera pieces, and I was fascinated by it. You know, opera is people don't usually know a lot about it, but it's pretty impressive because people are at a stage, right? They are like singing and acting in a stage, but it's not like a musical, like a movie where people have mics. They have microphones with them, so they are speaking and singing their regular voices. Let's say, in an opera environment, you're usually in a stage like a theater, and everybody needs to hear you. So when you're singing, for example, you have to be able to sing loud, man, and it's crazy to see it. You know, like I get goosebumps even by talking about it. I think you guys should watch an opera piece at any point in your life in order to appreciate what it's like. But anyway, all of these arts related to acting are my favorite ones. Which ones are your favorite and why? I invite you to pause this video right now, write your own answer, and then show it to me on our next class. You know, that would be pretty nice. It's optional. You guys don't have to do it, but I think that's a pretty nice way to be part of these classes, you know, and also to show that you're watching them and that I'm not speaking alone, hopefully. So, well, first of all, we have a text here, and we're going to be exploring different kinds of activities throughout these classes, all right, guys? And one of these activities are going to be activities like this one. So it's focused on the theme of art. We're still discussing art, but we're going to do a grammar review too. You know, I think it's important to mix grammar and regular topic-based lessons throughout these classes. So that's what we're going to be doing. Once again, I'm going to invite you to pause this video right now, read this text that we have here. Don't really worry about like doing the activity already of choosing the appropriate tense, the appropriate verb tense. Don't do it yet. Just read the whole thing and try to understand what it's about. You know, so what is this text talking about? I can already tell you, of course, I'm not spoiling it because the text is in front of you, that this is a text about street art. Street art. You like this kind of art? The kind of art that we can see on the streets, made to be seen on the streets? Let me know too. But anyway, I invite you to pause this video. I hope you have already done it. If you haven't, do it right now. And we're going to do the activity itself, okay? We're going to do the exercise. I'm going to be filling in the blanks with you guys, all right? So I'll be doing the reading. And once again, I invite you to actually read a little ahead of me, you know? So you can start reading yourself, and let's see if your pronunciation skills are sharp. Let's see if you know how to pronounce all of these words here. And then if there's anything that I pronounce that is not the way you have pronounced it, you know that you probably have to change your pronunciation. But if you're not sure, of course, you can look it up on Google and other websites. So I'm going to start reading, okay? Popular interest in street art and graffiti. And then we have the verb change over the years. Now, how are we going to complete it here? Well, the answer is popular interest in street art and graffiti has changed. Has changed over the years. And why? Because we're talking about something that has started in the past And we can see the effects of this thing in the present. We're talking about a period of time, but we're still talking about a strong influence in the present, you know? So, and also, it's a generalistic, let's say, period of time. We're not talking about a specific moment in the past. So those are the reasons that make us have to use here the present perfect. An indefinite time in the recent past, which has influence in the present. All right, let's keep going. Historically, they have been either ignored or dismissed. We're talking about the interest in street art, but attitudes. So attitudes, what? Well, honestly, there's more than one right answer here, but in my opinion, the best one would be are changing. Are changing. Attitudes are changing. And why? Because we can clearly see that this is what the text is about. It's talking about a wave of something that is happening, you know? And also, they are going to reference the past again in the near future. So that would work. If you said, but attitudes change, that would also make sense, to be honest, you know? So that would also be acceptable. If you have any other verb tense in your mind and you wanna bring it later, like let me know in our live classes and tell me if that would be acceptable or not. That's cool. But for me, those are the two choices: are changing, like I put here, or change. In fact, these art forms, and then we have the verb grow, in popularity since the 1980s. So, how are we supposed to complete this here? Now, if you saw since the 1980s, so we're talking about duration of time, right? And you thought, well, this is a key point in order to choose the present perfect. You are correct. Have grown, have grown. The art forms have grown in popularity since the 1980s. If you thought have been growing, that would also be acceptable. Of course, I mean that would also be acceptable. Okay, that there are some situations when both the present perfect and the present perfect continuous fit. You know, it's not always like that, of course, because for example, when the action is over, the action itself is over, but the period of time is not over. Let me give you an example. I have worked a lot this week. So I'm not working anymore. It wouldn't make sense to say I have been working. But so sometimes you can use the present perfect, but not the present perfect continuous. But sometimes you can use both, like in this case here. Okay. These art forms have been growing in popularity since the 1980s. This is apparent from the wide range of books and articles that, and then the verb is to be available. Let's continue the reading, and I'll go back to this verb when we finish this sentence. As well as websites, festivals, and museum and gallery exhibitions that are devoted to street art and graffiti. So, that are devoted to street art and graffiti. Clearly, now we're talking about the present, right? We're saying that these art forms, these street art forms, have grown in popularity since the 1980s. And now, of course, we're talking about the reality here. Now, the way people see it is different. So we're going to complete it with the verb to be in the simple present. Are. This is apparent from the wide range of books and articles that are available. All right? Let's keep going. These days, street art is an exciting and original form of artistic production that, once again, the verb is to attract to more and more artists. Well, these days, right? These days. So we're talking about the current moment. Once again, there's a couple of choices here. I would say that is attracting is attracting. Oh, teacher, what if I answer that attracts? Would that be acceptable? Sounds acceptable to me. Sounds pretty acceptable to me too. We're talking about the present. This is happening, but this happens. This is how it is. So both ways are okay. All right. Street art and graffiti are similar, but also interestingly different. In the case of street art, it is difficult to separate it from other forms of art in the public eye, such as public sculpture and performance. Right? So our point here is that there are different kinds of art, right? Furthermore, different people, and then we have the verb to use, the term street art in different ways, applying it to graffiti, large wall paintings or murals, public sculpture, street installation, and many other art forms. So, what are we going to say here? Different people. Well, check the paragraph yourself. If you want to pause the video and think a bit, the correct answer here is use. We're still talking about the present. So, simple present. Different people use the term different art in different ways. We're talking about a reality. This is how things are. This is what people do, right? So that's why we chose use here. Let's keep going. This is the second part of the text, okay, guys? And once again, I invite you to pause this video, read the whole thing yourself, understand the general message. Then, if you want, unpause the video, but start reading before me so you can see if you know the pronunciation of all these words, okay? And then I'll keep going here. The broadest notion of street art, so the widest understanding, is just that of art in the streets, right? So when people think of street art, they just think of art that is in the streets. However, according to Nicholas Alden Riggle's 2010 work, Street Art, the Transfiguration of the Commonplace, according to this work, according to this paper, a painting that is placed on the street, the verb is become, but it's negative, not become, street art. A painting that is placed on the street. Now, check it out. We're talking about what he believes, right? And it's already present here, a painting that is placed. So, of course, he's talking about like a general rule that he developed. We're going to keep doing the present here, guys. A painting that is placed on the street doesn't become street art, all right? Street art is art whose meaning, so what are we going to choose here? On its use of the street. Now, once again, it's starting in the present. He is clearly giving a definition of the word. So we're going to keep using the simple present, okay? Street art is art whose meaning depends. Whose meaning depends. If you don't remember the word whose, we are talking about the meaning of art, right? Is a word that is used to say that the thing that they are mentioning after belongs to it. So the meaning of art doesn't depend on its use of the street. It doesn't depend on, I'm sorry. The meaning of art depends on its use of the street. Depends on, the preposition is on, right? And this definition, now we have the verb rule out, which is a phrasal verb that means eliminate, okay? Or doesn't count, doesn't consider. The example of a painting that someone, and then we have simply plays in the street, okay? Now, we're saying here, this is the last paragraph, that street art depends on its use of the street. It's not just that it's on the street. It's that being on the street is vital for that piece of art. The place where the piece of art is part of the art itself that was made. All right, so that's what he means here. Now, this definition, what? Once again, he's still talking about the definition, so we're going to use the simple present here. Rules out. Rules out. We're conjugating the verb, right? We have been conjugating the verbs. Don't forget to pay attention to that, right? It's basic, but it's necessary, and a lot of people forget about it. This definition rules out the example of a painting that someone, well, here we have more than one choice, that someone simply places, right? So this definition doesn't count a painting that someone puts, simple present, in the street, or a painting that someone has put, or in this case, has simply placed on the street, because we are imagining that this thing has just happened, right? In the recent past. So that's why we're using present perfect here. It doesn't count it. It doesn't consider it, right? A painting that someone simply places on the street. We're just gonna finish the reading here. It also supports the view that street art cannot be removed without threatening its meaning as street art. That's what I was saying before, right? If you remove it from the street, it's not the same thing anymore. Its home is a public arena, and so it can be freely altered or destroyed by the public. That was interesting, right? Of course, we guys, we don't necessarily need to agree about that, but it's really interesting to think about. That's a piece of art that people actually interact with it somehow. I don't know about destroying, like, I guess we're really expanding our meanings here, and one could question what the author means here um, when he says freely destroyed. I guess there are some kinds of public street art that are made in a way that they could be destroyed. I'm talking about performance arts. I don't know if you guys have already seen those people that like that they are performance artists and they are in the middle of the street, for example. And the idea is that people who are passing by can interact with them somehow, like with their bodies, like doing things. There are some really crazy things in when we talk about this kind of performance art, some really crazy experiments. But well, I guess the general idea here is that street art has to interact with the street. That's the point, right? Now, once again, I want to know if you guys are into this kind of art, this kind of publicly displayed art, not just the kind that we see in a museum I'm sorry, in a museum or that we watch at home, but these other kinds of art too. You like this kind of stuff? Let me know. Now, guys, we're going to move on here to another activity. These are all sentences related to art still, but they have grammar mistakes, okay? At least some of them. Now, I want to see if you guys can spot what the mistakes are, and then let's do it together, all right? So, the activity is decide which of these are correct, and how can you correct the incorrect ones. I'm going to read the first sentence here, and I invite you to actually read before me, pause the video, to see if your pronunciation is sharp. So, number one, the artist is working on this painting for 3 months, and it's still incomplete. Interesting. So, do you already know how you're supposed to change it? If you don't, I'm gonna let you know. The mistake here is working. Why? This is the keyword, right? For 3 months. We're clearly talking about duration of time. And the work of art here is not done, right? So this is the perfect situation to use the perfect, a perfect tense. More specifically, the present perfect continuous. Has been working. He has been working on this painting for 3 months, and it's still incomplete. All right? Let's see the second one. The cousins have been creating about 300 sidewalk paintings in the last 2 years. So, what is wrong about this one, guys? Well, the problem here is, once again, of course, well, we're always talking about grammar, so that's always going to be the issue, right? But different issues in different sentences, of course. The cousins have been creating, not really, not really. The sidewalk paintings, The paintings that were made on the sidewalk are done. You know, they're not painting them right now. They started in the past. We're talking about the last 2 years, but they are done. So not present perfect continuous, because the thing can't be over if we're using present perfect continuous. What we have to use here is present perfect simple. Have created. Have created. Okay. Let's check out the third one. She's usually painting in watercolors, not oils, right? So when we talk about painting, we have these two big, let's say, painting schools, right? Oil painting and watercolor painting. Which is your favorite, by the way? You guys know the difference? Have you seen a watercolor painting and an oil painting? If you haven't, Google it right now, stop the video and check out the difference, because I want to know which one is your favorite one. You might write it down too if you want. So, what's the problem here? She's usually painting. Now, we're actually talking about her habits. We're actually talking about her habits here. It's what usually happens, not what is usually happening. That is kind of an inappropriate way to use the present continuous, okay? So this is why here we should use present simple. When we're talking about a life habit, present simple. She usually paints. She usually paints in watercolors, not oils. All right? Number 4, my brother can be annoying. He's always leaving his half-finished pictures around. He can be annoying. He's always leaving his half-finished pictures around. So, what is the problem here? If you want to pause the video and try to think about it, well, I'll let you know the answer now. There is no problem. This one is actually okay. All right, no problems with it. On number 5, my neighbor has just painted the outside of their house. My neighbor has just painted the outside of their house. Any issues here? Check it out. Not really. Once again, that's okay. We're talking about something that ended in a very recent past, right? So that is one of the moments when we use the present perfect, and that's completely okay. That's completely acceptable. All right. Number 6, the paint is drying faster in warmer weather. The paint is drying faster in warmer weather. Is there any issue here? Yeah. Because we're talking once again about a rule. That was some horrible underscore, sorry. In warmer weather. So what's the issue here? Once again, is drying. That's not how it works when we're talking about rules. So the paint dries. The paint dries faster. Simple present. Okay? And last but not least, the artist gradually becomes better known thanks to his use of social media. He gradually becomes better known thanks to his use of social media. So, what are we gonna use here? It's weird because well, this could be acceptable if we talked about like this is a rule. This is how it is for artists in general. Then that would be okay. But if we're talking about a specific artist and we're talking about what's happening in his life, it should be present continuous. Is gradually becoming. Is gradually becoming. So he is becoming better known thanks to his use of social media. That's what's happening right now. All right? Well, guys, I think I'm gonna stop this video right now. I don't want these videos to be too long, and I think we already have some good material to work with. I would like to have your feedback about what you guys thought about this class, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, and how I can improve. All right? It's been a pleasure. We're gonna be together soon. Thank you very much.